At holding point runway 13, uniform Alpha Alpha.
Uniform Alpha Alpha, contact tower 128.0, have a nice flight, bye-bye.
128.0, thank you very much. Uniform Alpha Alpha. Lviv Tower, good evening. Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha, holding at holding point 1, runway 13.
Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha, Lviv Tower, line up runway 13 and wait.
Lining up runway 13 and wait. Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. Так, даємо газу трохи. Газер рейдер включаємо. Так, там 600, нам треба мінімум 400 цих футів тримати.
Okay, International 27 Foxtrot, runway 13, located via taxiway 5.
Ukraine International 27 Foxtrot, contact Lviv ground 120.05.
120.05, дякую за ваш контроль, на все добре.
Uniform for Alpha Alpha, wind 180 degree, 2 meter per second, runway 13, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, uniform Alpha Alpha.
Airspeed's alive.
Нормально, да?
80 knots.
Довго. Довго.
V1, rotate. E2. Positive rate of climb.
Get up.
Uniform Alpha Alpha, contact Lviv radar 120.525.
120.525, uniform Alpha Alpha. 525. Швиденько, 525. То, блін. Так. Lviv Raider, good evening. Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. Climbing 6,000 feet.
Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha, Lviv Raider identified. Climb flight level 150.
Climbing flight level 150. Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha is unable to proceed. Have the engine trouble.
Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha 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 Roger. Continue with present heading. Call me when ready for vectoring ILS approach runway 1.
Continue with present heading. Call when able to vectoring to ILS runway 13. Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha.
Airspeed low. Airspeed low.
Ромео Кіло 518 над точкою С'єра.
Ромео Кіло 518, далі працюйте з Львів вежа 128, точка 2.0, гарний посад.
128 2.0. Дякую за контроль.
Так, відключаємо катов, включаємо APU, відключаємо left pack, цей включаємо. Так, і генератори. Звідси оце все повиключали. Перейшли так. В стабільний політ. Запускаємо IPU швиденько. Ну, швиденько запустився. Відбір повітря від APU, від двигуна виключили.
Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha, climbing to altitude 4000 feet.
Climbing to altitude 4000 feet, uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha, and already ready for vectoring to ILS runway 13, uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha.
Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha Roger. Can you advise me about what engine you are using?
Engine number 2 is severe damaged, uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha.
Uniform Foxtrot Alpha Alpha turn right heading 240.
Right heading 240, uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. Так, що ми маємо? Ми поставили так. Так, він сам поверне. А що в мене? Закрилки не повертаються.
2500.
Бля. Ой-ой-ой, ми падаємо.
Now it says choose one, APU is available to start, APU is not available. Well, we dispatched with the APU today, so we
Romeo
want to start
Foxtrot
that.
Alpha Alpha, turn right heading 310.
Right heading 310, uniform Alpha Alpha.
Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha, also I will need information about the source and fuel quantity on board, hazard materials if you have.
I have cargo on board, full load of cargo, and 10.5 tons of fuel on board. Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha.
Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha, copied. Will we have some assistance on the runway? Will we need some assistance?
I don't think so. I don't need any assistance on the runway. Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha.
Roger, thank you.
Так, давай думати далі. АЛС 1.3 матиме 109,5 частоту. При напрямку 130 градусів. Так, треба було.
Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha, please set squawk 7700.
Squawk 7700, uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. Чого закрилки не піднімаються? Ні, тут все правильно. краще, дампер вмикається сам. Хоча ні, двигуни. Ага.
Because at the moment we only have one source of AC power, which is from the operative engine. Now, God forbid if we lost the other engine, we'd lose all AC power, but we still have the APU available. But we want to always have at least two sources of APU available. And the APU takes a couple of minutes to start, so this is the perfect opportunity to just request the latest airfield information from Gatwick as we've just taken off, and see if the runway's still open, as the engine did explode. Utilized hasn't changed and the runway is still open, so if we have a look here you can see the APU is ready to start. Now before putting it on the bus, let's make sure the left autopilot is engaged, and providing next step where you can moment and type to balance the fuel. I'll provide a link. Transponder mode selector, we need to turn that to TA only. This prevents climb commands which can exceed single engine performance capability. So the reason we do that is if you left it in TARA, you might get a resolution advisory due to some traffic which will tell you to climb, and we don't have sufficient climb performance with just one engine available. Now, if wing anti-ice is needed, isolation valve switch to auto. We can actually move it to auto, but we definitely don't anticipate the use of wing anti-ice today, as it's 21 degrees in Gatwick. And then it mentions here, plan to land at the nearest suitable airport. Now today we're flying an aircraft which does not have the fail operational auto-land capability, because that's the way our fleet, the company I work for, are fitted, which means we need to go to the one engine inoperative landing checklist on page 726. Just before we do that checklist, we need to do a couple of things. The first thing we need to do is the after takeoff checklist. So gear to up and off, landing gear to off, and check the air conditioning panel. Obviously that pack is off due to the engine failure. That is now set. Confirm the QNH, and the QNH of 1016 is set, maintaining 3,000 feet, which is above the MSA. So just entering the hold here, prior to reading the one engine inoperative landing checklist, we'd now take the time as crew to deal with some decision making. Now, what's the next plan of action? We would discuss what we're going to do.
Alpha descent to altitude 2,500 feet.
Descending 2,500 feet, uniform Alpha Alpha.
What our options are, later we're going to position the problem is going on. A look at the depth point, all the routing and plan of flat 15 landing. Now at this stage you'd go into the FMC, update all the routing information, which I've already done, and you'd select the landing weights, which we don't use the FMC for fuel predictions, we use the fuel flow now. So we're burning about 2 tons an hour, let's say we're landing
107 to departure, passing 2,400 feet, climbing 6,000 deep at 1 Foxtrot.
International 107 Lviv Raider identified, climb flight level 160.
Climbing flight level, what we have assigned in flight level 140.
Flight level 160 for the UK International 107.
Climb flight level 140, International 107.
International 107. Sorry, my mistake. Climb flight level 140.
Climbing 140, International 107.
Inform Alpha Alpha turn right, heading 050.
Right, heading 050, uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. 050.
Infrarovo Alpha, traffic at 12 o'clock, Cessna 1414 for information.
Devin, traffic is advised. Have the traffic inside uniform Alpha Alpha.
From Romeo Alpha, turn right heading 100, clear at LS approach, runway 13.
Right heading 100, cleared ILS approach, runway 13, uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. А чого він не падає? Чого ми не падаємо, бля? Ми на висоті, бля, 2,5. Flaps 15. Зараз будемо заходити. Flaps 15, 161 вузол. Рано.
Contact Lviv Tower 128 decimal 00. Have a safe landing.
128 decimal 0 uniform Alpha Alpha. And thank you very much. Ти. Розганяй. Бля. Розганяй. Бля, він зараз піде нахрен. Тихо.
Glide slow. Glide slow. Glide slow.
Tower, good evening again. Uniform
Glide
Romeo
slow.
Foxtrot Alpha Alpha on
Glide slow. Glide slow.
runway heading
Glide slow.
13.
Glide slow.
Uniform Alpha Alpha, Lviv Tower,
Glide
wind
slow.
180 degree, 2 meters per second, runway 13,
Glide slow.
clear to land.
Glide
Clear
slow.
to land, runway 13, uniform
Glide slow.
Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha.
Glide slow. Glide
Бляха,
slow.
муха.
Glide slow. Glide slow. Wide slope.
Бляха-муха.
Wide slope.
Ми падаємо.
Wide slope. 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 Wide slope.
Ти,
Wide
блядь,
slope.
заткнув.
Wide slope. 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 Wide slope.
Бляха-муха, як його важко сидить.
Bank angle.
Airspeed low. Airspeed low.
Ромео Кіло 518.
Airspeed low. Airspeed low. Airspeed low. Airspeed low.
Ромео Кіло 518, входьте в бейз і файнал полоси
Airspeed
13.
low. Airspeed low.
Заходимо на фінал до бейс полоса 13.
Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha go around.
Uniform Alpha Alpha, climb altitude 4000 feet with runway heading.
Climbing 4000 feet with runway heading Uniform Alpha Alpha.
Too low. Gear. 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 Too low. Gear.
Та-та-та-та-та, тихо, 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 тихо. Ой, бля, який. Так.
Ромео Кіло 518, вітер 180 градусів, 2 метри на секунду, полоса 13, посадку дозволяю.
Полоса 13, Ромео Кіло 518. Заходимо на фінал.
Да. Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha Lviv Tower Lviv approach. Good evening again. I'm going around and trying to fix the problems.
Uniform Romeo Alpha Alpha, Roger. Maintain present heading, maintain present altitude and turn right, heading 310.
Present altitude and heading 310. Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. Так, добре.
Arkia 113, Lviv Radar, are you able to receive voice messages?
In 15 minutes. That means we're going to burn around 500 kilos. So we can now calculate the landing weight as 62.4 tons. And lastly, on the overhead panel, there's a couple of things you want to do here. You want to update the flight altitude to your present altitude, which is the MSA to 3,000 feet, and then the land altitude, which in Gatwick is 200 feet. Now it says for step 2, set VREF 15 or VREF ice. Now we don't need to set VREF ice today because we don't need to use engine or wing anti-ice for our approach. Now at this point we'd actually calculate the landing performance. I've actually updated the newest QRH to as a separate point. But you can see here I've actually calculated the landing weights based on our landing weight of 62.4 tons. Now we planned for flap 15, all the surface weather's in there. You can see I've selected engine and operative. And reversers, we're going to still use reverse thrust on engine number 1, but I've taken no credit, which on a dry runway doesn't make any difference to your stopping distance. And you can see here for 62.4 tons with the VREF addition of 5 knots, we can easily use order brake 3 and stop at 1894 metres. The landing distance available is 2,800. So we can now select order brake 3, and if I bring the FMC up, we can now select flap 15. Is 152 knots plus the additional 5 knots approach speed. There's some guidance here which mentions maintain VREF 15 plus 5 knots, which is what we're going to use today, and we use that speed and maintain that until final approach to assure sufficient manoeuvre margin and speed for go around. Use the engine anti-ice on the operating engine only, or leave those on, and step 5 checklist is complete except the third items, which will complete shortly. Now, it's at this stage, the pilot monitoring will now get the control, and the pilot fly will now set up for the approach back into Gatwick. And that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to set up for the ILS approach runway 26 left back into Gatwick. So everything's now set up for the ILS approach back into Gatwick. In fact, the only thing I've done is set the minimums for this approach, which for a Category C aircraft is 396 feet. The ILS is already tuned, which is 110.9, and if you find approach traffic of 258 for the ILS. Everything in the FMC don't really need to change. I've already calculated the landing performance, and at this point now we're pretty much ready for the approach. We now just start reading in the hold the 1 engine and operative landing checklist to third items. So starting on the descent checklist, it says pressurization, make sure you have the land altitude set. You can see here we have 200 feet. Recall we check again, so you should have master call.
Info level Alpha Alpha, turn right, heading 050, descend to 2,500 feet.
Right heading 050, descending for altitude 2,500 feet. Uniform Alpha Alpha.
caution ELEC, and that would be drive. There it is, that's for the IDG, which is currently inoperative because the engine is shut down. It now mentions to make sure the order brake is set. So we've got order brake 3 set. Landing data has been done. VREF 15 has been set with the minimums of 396, and the approach briefing is completed. Now, it now mentions if additional go-around thrust is needed. So we'll always want to use this, generally speaking, because it just gives you a little bit more extra thrust from the engine. So what we need to do is take the engine bleed off engine number 1, do it off engine number 2 as well, and make
Uniform
8
Alpha Alpha, turn right heading 100, clear to approach runway 13.
Right heading 100, clear to ILS approach, runway 13, uniform Alpha Alpha. Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой-ой.
Airspeed low. Airspeed low.
Зараз.
Banking.
Не вирівнявся. Сам.
Airspeed low.
Все
Airspeed
нормально,
low.
нормально. Flaps 5. Okay. Flaps 15. Approach activated. І тримаємо цю швидкість.
Uniform Alpha Alpha, contact Lviv Tower 128.0, bye-bye.
128.0, uniform Alpha Alpha. Та що ж таке? Lviv Tower, good evening again. Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha, 7 miles, runway 13.
Uniform Foxtrot Alpha Alpha, wind 180 degrees, 2 meter per second, runway 13, clear to land.
Runway 13 clear to land, uniform Alpha Alpha. ти робиш? Сідати так.
Airspeed full. Airspeed full.
Та йоп. Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha requesting turn back. I forgot the terminology.
Uniform Romeo Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. Backtrack runway 13 is approved. Taxi to taxiway 5.
Backtrack is approved. Taxiing to taxiway 5. Uniform Alpha Alpha. Йоп. Ну. Він не хоче рухатися напряму.
Uniform Alpha Alpha, if you will not expedite your backtrack, I will propose you to disconnect because there is another traffic on final and you will...
Yes, I would like to disconnect. Thank you very much for your service and bye bye. That's Uniform Alpha Alpha. А що таке, чого я не хочу? Коротше, щось біда якась конкретна. Будемо пробувати завершувати цю запис.